And so I cry sometimes when I'm lying in bed to get it all out what's in my head. And I feel it, a little peculiar. And so I wake in the morning and I step outside and I take a deep breath and get real high. And I think to the top of my lungs, what's going on? And I say, hey, yeah, 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 hey, yeah, yeah. I say, hey, what's going on? And I say, hey, yeah, 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 hey, yeah, yeah. I say, hey, what's going on? And he tries.
What's up, Scrubs? It's time for the second podcast in the Madden 17. We got two of our favorite scrubbers here, Jox and Squish. And we're gonna take a moment to get to know them. How long have you guys known each other?
Oh, fuck, forever. It
6
feels
years?
like, 6 years, give or take.
So y'all are both graduated from college. So 6 years.
Finally.
So did y'all meet like going into college, or how did that happen?
We met during pledgeship, and we just kind of became friends through that, and we just, I don't know, we kind of hung around each other. We both were super active in the pledging process. The parts that I remember were mostly good memories.
Well, you were mostly active. I didn't do shit.
I was fucking blackout all the time. But we just kind of got to know each other through that and kind of spent time around each other. And he ended up graduating a little bit earlier than I did, and we just kind of hung around. And I guess here we are today.
And just for those of you who are wondering, who haven't heard the lovely voices of Jox and Squish before, that one talking there is Squish, and Jox is the
Ooh.
more elegantly soft.
Hello.
So what fraternity did y'all both join the same fraternity, or did you just meet in the rush process?
Yeah, we both joined Tau Kappa Epsilon, whose famous alumni include Ron Jeremy, Les Paul, Elvis Presley, and Ronald Reagan.
If you want to go to a shit fest, just go to a teak house. Doesn't matter where it's at.
And,
Lions Nest.
and where did y'all go for undergrad?
I went to Baylor. Squish went to U of H.
And so you went to two different schools. So how did you meet during the rush process?
Well, we met. I rushed at Baylor, and then transferred to U of H. So
Okay.
we met. I was there at Baylor for 2 years. Didn't really like it. Didn't really work out. And I left, came back, and finished out at U of H.
I got you. And Squish, what do you do in the real world?
I'm currently unemployed. I'm looking for a job. Actually, just finished up an interview yesterday with Adelbert's Brewing as a market rep for the Houston area. So at this point, I'm really looking for anything.
Gotcha. And Jox, you teach, right?
Unfortunately.
And what do you teach?
Electrical engineering, aerospace engineering. Bunch of, a lot of boring classes. Not a lot of hot chicks.
So you're pretty stupid then, right? If you're teaching aerospace engineering.
Yeah, I'm not as dumb as the guy who had me teach it.
Yeah, that's funny. Well, that's cool, guys. So, Squish, I'll start with you. How long have you been playing Madden?
This will be my second year after a 10-year hiatus. The last Madden I played before Madden 16 was Madden 2005. I really kind of got into FIFA because I started playing soccer more, and just kind of fell in love with the sport that way. So Madden kind of fell by the wayside. I really got into college football, so I played a lot of NCAA. My freshman year, I had 3 days between my first and last exam, and I didn't have any in between. So there was one day where I remember I played 8 hours straight of college NCAA Madden or NCAA football, like 13 or 12 or something like that. And I just played it all day, and I never really wanted to play Madden because I enjoyed the college football style more.
Yeah, I can relate to that. I was much bigger into NCAA college football. I found the online mode more enjoyable than, because at the time I definitely didn't play CFM. I I guess like in 2012, 2013. I don't think I did. And the college football felt so much more robust with recruiting and the online leagues and everything. It was just so much fun.
Well, and like there was a big delineation at some point between how Madden ran their play calling and how NCAA ran their play calling. And because I played NCAA just like so much for about 5 years straight, I literally could not play a Madden game because I would look at it and I'm like, I don't understand how this works. And like the idea of not being able to run a no huddle offense at all, like really messed with me because I just didn't understand kind of the concepts of A, running the ball, and B, not throwing as many picks and being okay if I throw 15 picks or 30 picks a season because, in a spread offense, you're going to throw, 10 billion touchdowns a season because that's the way that the offense is designed. You can't do that in the NFL because the quality of the players on the opposite team are that much higher.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the game speed is different. It's harder to get big plays.
Yeah.
It can just be more challenging and more rewarding altogether. So, Jox, what about you? How long have you been playing Madden?
So I got into it in Madden 1998. As a few people know, I grew up with Eagles offensive tackle Lane Johnson, and we were real big into playing Madden. We'd go over to each other's houses during the weekends, and just that's literally all we would do is we'd play Madden, we'd fish. And we'd get done fishing, we'd play Madden. We'd pass out, we'd wake up, we'd fish, we'd play more Madden. And we used to hit it up with the Lions and Barry Sanders because he was the original Madden cheese. And there was nothing you could do to stop him. It was nuts.
Now, in '98, what was that still on SNES or had it gone to PlayStation at that point?
That was on PlayStation.
Okay.
I think it was 96, 97 when Madden moved on to PlayStation 1, Gen 1 consoles.
Yeah, I can remember back when everything first started going to PlayStation and kind of those last couple years of Super Nintendo 2, especially in the college games, how if you had a mobile quarterback, you could just dominate because they hadn't really factored in like running and throwing the ball and how it shouldn't be as accurate and stuff. I mean, you could put like running backs back there, quarterback, and just fuck around.
Oh yeah, the Madden, was it 2005? Was like the Mike Vick cheese.
Yeah.
There's never ever been a quarterback like that in Madden. He couldn't do anything.
It's like
Madden 05 was
throw
my favorite
power.
Madden. Yeah, it was my
speed.
favorite for the exact reason. My mom drove me up to St. Louis one year in 05, and I played Madden in the back of my mom's car in 15-minute quarters, and I think I broke like 500 points with Michael Vick because it was literally just four verts, roll out, and you couldn't do anything, run the ball for 45 yards, and if the receiver's open, then you just chuck it deep to them. And yeah, Madden 05 was one of the cheesiest Maddens I think that's ever been out there, especially with Michael Vick being the way he was and playing the way he was. He was just an unstoppable monster in this game. If there was a quarterback like Michael Vick in Madden 17, you couldn't be able to do anything. Cam is close, but he doesn't have the passing, in my opinion, the passing ability that Vick had in 05.
Well, he's not anywhere on the speed level that Michael Vick was.
Yeah, the closest thing I think would be Tyrod with speed, but that's about all he's got there. His passing stats are way too
Absolutely.
low. So you were kind of an AO2 in the making, right? With the rollout and the verts. That was his game plan for success.
I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, but instead of what AO2 did, where he actually won games, Squish would instead throw picks
and throw control.
It evened out. It kind of evened out the cheese.
That's funny. So, who? I mean, I know where you guys are from. So, do you guys both pull for Houston, or what's your team?
Yes, sir.
My favorite team is the Houston Oilers. However, they were stolen from me, and so I'm super salty about that. But yeah, no, I'm a huge Houston Texans fan. My apartment was actually like right up the street, and the school that Jox teaches at is down the street from the Texans Energy Stadium. So I mean, it's in the air essentially.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's funny you mentioned the Oilers. I swear I've got more Oilers memorabilia in my house than I do Texans stuff.
Yeah, I love those Oilers uniforms too. That's some of my favorite in the NFL.
It hurts my soul that Bud Adams still has the rights to those uniforms, and every year when the Titans come in, they at least one game a season they've worn the Love You Blue, and it's just like, no, those aren't your uniforms. Give those back.
No, yeah, it's not as fun as you see. Who's it? Last year that was really famous in college sports for it. I think it was Army Navy. Like every single game coming up to the big Army Navy show off, they had different helmets, and it was insane. But yeah, it's you don't have that fun in the NFL with the new style helmets every other week.
No,
The no fun league.
Yeah, I'm curious to see. I mean, obviously NFL makes a ton of money, and it's just
So
a
much
machine.
money.
But their
obscene.
ratings are dipping this year, and a lot of people think it's the quality of the product. When you look at like the Monday night games and the Thursday night games, they're just kind of shit for the most part.
Hey, you saying Texans Sunday Night Football isn't quality football?
It depends.
It was pathetic.
Who's Osweiler throwing to? That's the.
Not anybody wearing either blue or white.
Yeah, that's.
I mean, the fans in the stands are wearing blue and white.
Well, he's a little closer to the guy in the front row than fucking. Oh, don't even get me started.
So not too long ago, both of you guys had an opportunity to hang out with our Falcons user, Commissioner Zan. So how was that, getting to meet him in person and tool around with him in Houston for a couple days?
It was a lot of fun. The only thing I did not like about the entire thing is I had to lug his fucking step stool around the entire time.
My favorite experience was the one night, one of the 2 nights we went out. Patty and Jox were out, and Joe and I, we both have significant others, and Joe has his kid, and so Jox and Patty were going out and macking on the women, and Zan and I were literally just sitting in the corner like, it's 11:30. I'm usually in bed by now. Like, what the fuck am I doing in a bar this late? And I'm like, yeah, no, normally I'm like passed out at home. But yeah, overall it was a fun experience. We took him, for the people that are in Texas, they'll know the importance of this. We took him to a Buc-ee's outside of Austin in a town called Bastrop. And the thing that Buc-ee's is known for is, one, they're like fucking massive. Like the one in Bay City has 120 gas pumps, and the convenience store is about the size of a Walmart. Well, the one we went to in Bastrop was probably, I don't know, 2/3 of that size maybe. And I was like, Joe, the bathrooms in here are like fucking incredible. Like the toilet stalls are like masonry like you're in your own little enclave. And he's like, all right, I'm going to do this. And we get on the road and he's like, I have to take a shit. And I'm like, we're like an hour away from Buc-ee's. I'm like, you're fucking holding it. Like, you are going to hold this shit in. So we get to Buc-ee's and we go in. He's in there for like 10 minutes. He comes back out. He's like, I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. I held it too long. And I was like, God damn it. Like, we went to this place especially for the fucking bathrooms and you let me down.
Yeah, it was funny. It's because on the way back, Joe was like, I'm fine. I'm going to shit in Buc-ee's. So we go in there, and I think I ruined the experience for him because he gets in the stall next to me when we get to Buc-ee's, and I'm still drunk as fuck from the night before. And he, it's all nice and quiet. The whole place is tiled, so everything echoes, and I'm projectile vomiting in the stall next to him.
Jesus Christ!
He's one of the few people I've ever known who can throw up on command and at will almost. It's really kind of creepy, but also impressive.
Do you guys do like a puking rally?
Oh, I always puke and rally. Like if I don't puke, at least like if we're gonna go hard and I'm gonna go for like at least an 8-hour party or something, or just 8 hours of drinking, I have to puke at least 4 or 5 times.
Did you guys at your fraternity? Did y'all have like what they were called in my fraternity was work parties, where all the pledges had to come clean up everything after the party at the house on Saturday night?
We had what you would call it, and this is in air quotes, a dry pledgeship. Which obviously, we went to a Baptist university, so they didn't believe in drinking. So obviously that impaired us and our ability to consume alcohol later on in life immensely.
Well, okay, he says that. He experienced a dry pledgeship. I was older than the other pledges.
Yeah, he was 21 when he pledged.
And I was already best friends with most people in the fraternity, so really I got shit-faced when I wasn't supposed to with all the actives, while they cleaned up all of my shit.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
then we
so
got in trouble for it.
You probably had a different experience than most pledges, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, I only had to do like one fucking pledge exercise.
such
Granted, no,
bullshit.
it was the one fucking time we got shot at. That was a bunch of bullshit. Fucking Farmer Brown and his goddamn 410.
I had a test that day, so I missed out on that event. I was very happy.
Oh yeah, we were all running. So context, we're running behind this. They'd made us eat butter, an entire fucking stick of butter before that,
Oh.
and the guy that was standing next to me was lactose intolerant, so I fucking ate 2 things of butter. I guess it made up for me not doing shit during pledging. And then they drove us 30 miles out of town and made us run behind a truck while they all threw eggs and shit at us. And while we're doing that, a guy, we're just on this little, side road and shit like this. Somebody who lived in one of those houses there comes out with a shotgun yelling at us and fired off a few rounds in our direction.
Christ.
The pellets are hitting people into the fucking truck, and so we all dive in the back of the truck. Truck starts peeling out. We had this one fat fuck AJ who's like, "Don't leave me!" And like he's running, he like dives. It's hilarious. This movie style scene from like Jackass or something. He just fat ass dives on the bed of the truck, and we had to like grab him by the belt so he didn't
Like
slide
Varsity
out.
Blues, like the big fat
Oh.
offensive lineman. Or
Oh yeah, just straight Billy Bob.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. That's great, guys. Well, let's shift back to Madden for a second. So our season has started. We're some guys are already 5 guys in. 5 guys in. Jesus Christ, 5 games in, and
Are you sure you're not the one who's 5 guys in?
and most of us are 4 games in. So we have a little bit of a picture of how the season goes, but all of us know that we don't really have enough data to start picking winners and losers and those kind of things, even though we're going to try a little later. But out of what you've seen so far, do you foresee another season of retro and Bucks and kind of the usual suspects dominating their divisions and getting a similar playoff result, or do you see kind of like the scene from last season where we saw those guys were in the playoffs, but we saw a lot of new faces in the playoffs as well. How do you guys kind of see this season shaking out a little bit?
I think it's a little mix of both, and so we've got our established power players. We've retro. It's got Cam Newton because Madden decided to fuck everybody else over and give him the number 2 overall pick. So I mean, he's just been going crazy. I mean, into last season, I was in competition. Dez had a clear lead on receiving yards to everybody, and then at the end of the year, I get passed by John Brown out of nowhere, who's gotten 150 yards in his last 5 games. So he's got the weapons, but I think we've got so many other guys coming up, not only in the AFC, but in Retro's division alone. We've got Jets, who was the best user in scrubs in Madden 16. He's got the dominance again in this year's Madden. The only thing is he hasn't figured out offense quite yet, but this season so far he's showing that he's figured it out, and so it's going to be a very interesting finish.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, what I've noticed so far is just when you look at the stats as a whole for offense for the majority of the players of the league, it's way down. I mean, if you went back and looked at some of the Daddy League stats from Madden 16, just compared some of the average seasons to what we've seen so far, I mean, guys are throwing more picks, much less passing touchdowns. Now, some of the guys have figured it out, obviously, and some guys that are figuring out how to run the ball early, I think are having a little more success, too, because it's so easy to throw interceptions in this Madden. And I don't know about you guys, but I find it to be even more punishing in this Madden to throw interceptions because a lot of times they end up being pick sixes.
I as the resident pick 6 expert here, I would have to agree with you on that. For me, in Madden 16, I was okay with throwing 3-4 picks a game because I felt like offensively I still had a chance. But for example, in the game I played against A. Walker in X-Bomb, I threw 8 picks in one game, and the reason that happened was because I threw 3 right off the bat in the first quarter. Within the first 2 minutes, I was down 21-0. You can't really run the ball in that situation as much as you'd like to, so you have to turn to the passing game, which if you're going to throw 3 picks in one game, why not, go for 5 more? And that was the situation I left myself in. You put yourself with interceptions and turnovers in a way that you almost have to expose yourself to something like a fumble, like an injury, like a pick six, in order to stay competitive in the game.
Yeah, and once you get down in this Madden, I mean, it is possible to come back, but you really have to get some big breaks. Like, for example, when you and I played, or Squish and I played 2 Madden weeks ago maybe, I knew that my only chance at coming back was to keep pushing the man blitzes and just get lucky, and it happened. I mean, and that's another thing with this Madden is, I find the more OP shit to be on defense this year versus where last year it was like knowing route combinations or when to do the out route, and that kind of stuff. Whereas this year, if you know like 4 or 5 clutch defensive plays and you can hit them in the right moment, like somebody runs verts and you've got a good blitz package on, their quarterback's gonna fumble. Like it's just gonna happen, and you're gonna get a huge play. It's crazy.
The one defensive scheme for me that I've seen, and especially in the game against you, ATL, that I had the most success in was running cornerback blitzes. I mean, we were looking at stats earlier, and my strong safety leads my team in tackles. He's I think 3rd or 4th in the NFL. But having, especially those cornerback blitzes where the guys are coming from way outside, the guys that are normally in man coverage, I don't know if it's a camera angle issue or what, but it feels like a lot of these quarterbacks, whether it's an animation from the game or if it's just users, aren't noticing it until it's almost too late.
Yeah, and I think part of it is those of us who've been, in scrubs for a while now, you train your eyes as soon as you snap the ball or at least I do, to read the linebackers most of the time. So if you don't see them coming in, it gives you kind of a false sense of security on cornerback blitzes. And if you at the same time have called some kind of deep pass, a post or a vert, well, then you're going to get fucking laid out. I mean,
yeah, absolutely,
happen,
yeah.
So, I mean, and that stuff's fun. I mean, I do enjoy this iteration of Madden more than probably any other Madden that I've played in the past, or at least in the recent past. I find the parody really fun. Like we were kind of talking about the new faces being in the playoffs. It seems like different people are kind of figuring out how to play this Madden versus last year where it was just the same fucking people in every playoffs. And it was really fun to kind of see, I mean, I didn't make the playoffs, but it was really fun to kind of see some new faces get in there and shake it up. One of my biggest surprises, or one of the things that have really surprised me this season has been Broncos starting out 0-4. I played him last season, and I found his pass rush to be just unbearable. Like I'd snap the ball and get hit immediately. There was nothing to do, and I couldn't run the ball either. He had 2 giant behemoths in the middle of the line, and he's got Barr and Beasley and all these fast guys coming off the edge too. And I just don't get it. I don't know how he's gone from dominating, having the best defense last year, to being 0-4 this year.
I think people just figured it out from last year. He had he's like you said, he's got a stack box, and they just performed insane last year. But the downside with him is, a lot of the stuff he did last year is he relied on those. We all have our go-to defensive plays, and I think he just went to them just a little too much. People did their homework, and now it's just, okay, how can I exploit that? Plus, it being the first season of Scrubs, the second season comes around, you've got guys out there who's got the top cheese videos out here, how to beat this defense, how to beat that one. So, the Madden knowledge is now starting to spread a little bit more as we go into the second season. So it's definitely going to shake things up.
Yeah, that's true. And I also think, and I'm sure you guys did this, and I'm sure most people do this, but like those of us who really invest a lot of time in this league and in this game, you also realize what your holes were from the previous season. And so through trades, free agency, and draft, you really try to plug in, in that off season. Like for me, mine was offensive line, and I've seen a big difference being able to pass the ball this season from last season. Like 4 games in last year, I probably had 15 picks, maybe 12 picks, and I think this year I've got maybe 4, 5. And it's all because I have time to sit in the pocket now. In those edge rushers, when you have two strong tackles in this Madden, I don't find it to matter as much in the running game with offensive linemen, but in the passing game, if you have two strong tackles, those defensive ends will just stick to them, and that's I found that to make a big difference for myself.
Yeah, I mean, I specifically, I had a ton of holes on my offense last year, and so I'm fixing them now. I don't think people have realized how drastically I've changed things. I'm coming now, starting this week, I've got a brand new QB. I've got a brand new running back, a brand new number 2 wide receiver, brand new tight end. All of this made in the last 3 weeks. So I've completely redone my offense, and because I got rid of Gurley, I've got a new guy who's got I think it's 7 less speed, so I have to change up my scheme for running, which means I need to change up my passing a little bit because I can't, if I go into it, I can't run out of the shotgun with this 85 speed guy all that often and be successful. Meaning, if I go into the shotgun, people are going to assume that I'm going to pass it. So I've had to remap my entire offense, and I think I found a ton of holes with me last year, and so I've tried to fix those. And I see everybody's been doing that. A. Walker specifically has changed up his entire offense and defense into how he ran it a season ago.
Yeah, I think for me the biggest issue that has come up with my team has been dealing with the effects of regression, because I kind of went into the fantasy draft knowing that everybody was going to try and go young, so I was okay with taking kind of the older players who were still serviceable, not realizing how bad regression was going to be. Coupling that with not meeting my season goals really hurt my O-line. When I drafted my O-line, I had seen an article, I think, posted by Average, talking about how the only stat that really mattered for offensive line was pass block. So I literally just sorted every position by pass block and picked those. Having those guys go down by a dev and 2 points in every stat really has hurt my offensive line. And it feels like this season compared to last season, I have less time in the pocket. And with the aging receiver core that I have, I'm kind of having to run more short routes because I don't have the protection, A, to sit back in the pocket and run deep routes, or B, I don't have the speed really to have my guys break off a route and go deep.
Yeah, and it's you talk about offensive lines. It's some people have some pretty nice ones. I don't know if y'all looked at Brown's offensive line, Canada. Dude, he's got some young offensive line talent that is just it's ridiculous.
No, yeah, I'm extremely jealous of that because I'm finding out in all these games, I've replaced all of my offense outside of my O-line, and I'm finding out my O-line is a huge fucking problem. And unfortunately, Canada's got the O-line to go to if you want to get some trades in, and no one wants to ever trade with Canada.
Yeah, it's kind of like trading with Squish. So, I noticed in the draft too, it's super hard to draft O-line. Have y'all noticed that compared to last year, how different it is in this Madden?
Oh yeah, I mean just in general, because it's like, even though there's 5 positions of O-linemen versus 1 on QBs, it seems you have as many good O-linemen in the draft as you have good QBs. And so, we had 4 good QBs in this last draft. The rest of them are trash with, less than 90 throw power. And now we had 4 or 5 good O-linemen in the draft last year. And especially with, at least you can cheese a quarterback, and there's the potential increasing his dev and getting him a lot of XP from performance. With O-linemen, it's a toss-up. And so, you can't, I used to do it in 16. I'd draft, okay, this O-lineman's not the best fresh out the box, but in 2 seasons he'll be a stud. You can't do that now. It just costs way too much XP. You don't get enough XP. And even if you do something last season, I drafted an entire O-line. 4 of my 5 starting guys were 23 and under. And I was like, okay, I can just dev these guys, not knowing that, no, you can't. I fooled myself. And so now there's like a 3-4 overall difference between where they were last year and this year, and I spent all of last year doing O-line drills. So
How did you see the doing the, because I don't think a lot of people do the O-line drills because it's typically either O-line quarterback or O-line halfback, or the two that you get. How did you see, like, what was the average that different O-linemen were getting out of those drills?
I mean, so I've got I think it's 2 O-linemen who are quick dev. Granted, they're old as shit, so it doesn't matter. And those guys were getting about 1,200 XP in a drill. And then, so, that's not bad XP at all. But, my other guys are getting 600 XP at normal dev. Compared to that, and, last Madden, that's not bad at all. This Madden, 600 XP is nothing when you have to pay 2,500 to 3,000 for another point in blocking.
Yeah, just to dev up a little bit. It's really frustrating, and I've also found, and I'm sure you guys saw this too, just scouting the last draft, and maybe this one too, rarely do you find an offensive lineman that has higher than B- pass rush, and even that's rare. Most of it's C+ is the best that you can find.
Yeah, and it almost feels like with the older linemen, yeah, they may be good, but all the XP that you're going to get is going to keeping them at the rate that they're at. You're never going to be able to improve them. I have my center who is, I think, 23 or 24, but he has slow dev, but he has 82, 83 pass blocking. He's never going to get to 85 because the XP cost for him is just so exponentially high that it's just not going to happen. You get these guys that are in their 30s, and you might as well just give up on them because, you're going to get a season's worth of XP, and that's going to take care of one of the 8 stats that's going to drop by 2 in the off season, and you just kind of have to hope and pray that, they don't regress.
Yeah, I mean, so like my center, my current center this year, who's 32. Last year, being 31, I had him out at right tackle because he was 90 overall. He had 90 run block. He was, fairly good right tackle. So, he could pick, and he's got high impact blocking, so he can make those plays I need to do to get down the field with Gurley or whoever my running back is. And after regression, now I moved him back to center because he's at 85. He's got 88 run blocking now. But it cost me 15,000 XP to get that run block up to 89.
Yeah.
So like there's and that guy has quick dev. Oh, never mind. He went back down.
Yeah,
Okay,
and then the most frustrating part, or one of the frustrating things, is like Retro was showing us, at the end of his season, because he had such a good season, I guess, that his offensive linemen were getting like 30,000 XP at the end of the season.
It feels like the teams that don't perform, which I have plenty of experience in, like having good players doesn't make a whole lot of sense for me because at the end of the season they're going to regress no matter what. That's like my biggest fear about when I drafted Wet Knight is that he's going to be crap in 2 seasons because he's just not on a good team. Retro's offense and the other teams that do well, their teams are going to hit. I could see them hitting the 99 overall cap just by the fact of the overall team success, which I understand on the one hand, but on the other hand, with the regression and those kinds of mechanics, like I could see it very quickly the league dissolving into a very top-heavy, no middle, and weak bottom situation.
Yeah, true have and have nots kind of situation.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, it'll be interesting to see how things progress. So we're going to move on now because we've been at it for a good 40 minutes in our first segment. We're going to move on to a new roster bait segment. This is the rookie roster bait segment. So with that being said, I'm going to let Jox kick this one off and tell us about the 2 rookies that he picked to talk about.
Okay, I'm going to try and keep it down and not have to change my pants after this segment. But first guy I want to open up with is Richard Swanger. The third. Richard Swanger the third, a.k.a. Dick Swanger. Stats right now, he was the first overall in the draft last year. A lot of people said I was nuts for doing it, and I could see why. I drafted a 24-year-old Mike linebacker. Granted, he was superstar dev, but he's 24. Especially with the regression works, he's going to last me 4 or 5 seasons before he starts to go down. But he's just phenomenal so far. And so, stats wise, he's got 3 INTs right now, 6 tackles for loss, 26 tackles total, 1 touchdown. Attribute wise, he's got 88 speed, 90 acceleration, 90 tackle, 88 hit power, superstar dev. He's leading right now amongst all the rookies. He's leading the league in tackles for loss, in tackles, and INTs amongst all rookies, which is just incredible. I had no idea that this guy was going to perform like this when I picked him up. I was hoping for half this performance, and so I'm extremely excited that I traded away a shit ton to get him. And then my next guy, kind of a division rival, I want to call out Deontay Scroggins. He's a Lions defensive end. He's only played 3 games so far, but he's got 4 sacks, 2 tackles for loss, and the guy just looks like a stud. He's second right now behind your rookie ATL in sacks and tackles for loss amongst rookie defensive ends. He's got 85 power move, 85 block shedding, 87 tackle. He's so solid. And the crazy thing is he's second on the depth chart at defensive end. And so it's insane that he's getting these kind of stats when he's not even the starter on the team.
Yeah, that's crazy. He must be using them in certain formations or something to get that production. That's pretty impressive. Well, we know you're excited about your linebacker. I think that was a pretty big shock to everybody. I think everybody figured you'd be taking the new big red rocket. But honestly, I can't blame you. I love defense. That's my favorite part of Madden. So I was pretty excited to see you snag that linebacker with the first pick.
Oh yeah, it helps out too that he's total sunshine. The guy's got golden locks that go down to his ass. It's crazy watching him run across the field.
Well, that gets me excited just thinking about it. So, Squish, who did you pick to roster bait over?
I actually picked 2 offensive players. This is a very contentious issue between the bottom feeders in chat. So once and for all, I'd like to settle the debate on McGowan versus Foley. And the tail of the tape gives the advantage to McGowan. He has less yards than Foley, don't get me wrong, but he's got a better touchdown to interception ratio and a higher QBR. Foley does have a higher completion ratio, but I really don't think that has a whole lot to do with the individual players, but more of the offensive scheme. Kind of taking a look at the stats, Foley's got 91 throw power compared to McGowan's cannon of 95. They're both 21. I can see these guys playing at least another, they could be here until Madden 17 if these guys can keep them around. I think McGowan's going to outlast Foley. He's got higher, short, medium, and deep accuracy. He's also superstar dev, so he's not going to regress at an early age. He's going to be around. I think it's going to be really interesting when McGowan's rookie contract runs out because he's going to ask for a big hunk of money because even on a terrible team like the Dolphins, which no offense to him, but there's a reason why he got the second draft pick. He's still getting stats. He's still doing well. He's still progressing. He's getting XP. He's going to earn XP at a higher rate than Foley for the foreseeable future. So come contract time, I think there's going to be a very large paycheck. I would not be surprised if McGowan ends up being the highest paid player in the league when his contract expires.
Yeah, you got to think that's going to be a over $100 million contract. I think both of them will probably be pushing for over $100 million contract.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's been some impressive rookies in this draft from this past draft, and that's always fun to see. It is one thing that I was happy to kind of see is that the same people that drafted well in Madden 16 were able to kind of carry over their skill set into Madden 17. I know for those of us who really enjoy the draft, there's nothing more fun than finding at least 1 or 2 diamond in the roughs and snagging those, and there's definitely nothing more fun than targeting your guy and getting him in the first round before somebody else can snag him. Now, for me personally, the guy I targeted, I was fortunate enough to get him. It was DeAndre Foley. He was a linebacker in the draft. I've moved him to defensive end. He has 79 strength, which I think is fine for a speed pass rush DN. My favorite stat for him currently, though, is that he's got 90 finesse move and 84 block shed. Finesse move has always been my favorite trait. I used to love cheesing Donald with his finesse move in Madden 16. It was pretty much unstoppable. Now, the finesse move in Madden 17 is a little different. It doesn't always do the swim move. It does a lot of the spin move, which is almost guaranteed no sack on the quarterback unless it's somebody who's running verts and looking way downfield. But he also has 84 power hit, which has been great. He's been able to cause one forced fumble so far this season. He's got 5.5 sacks, which is tied for first in sacks in the league. He's tied with Vernon, who is also on my team, which is crazy that both of those guys have 5.5 sacks. My goal is to get him the defensive player rookie in the AFC. I'm really glad he's not in the NFC because I think Jox's linebacker is a lock for that. But the AFC has a little more parity with their rookies on the defensive side, so I'm hoping I can pull that. After seeing A. Walker's XP from that cornerback last season where he got over 100K, I'd love to even just get half of that. So if I can manage to swing Defensive Lineman of the Year and the Rookie Defensive Player of the Year award, I'm going to be thrilled on that. Go ahead.
That was incredible, the A. Walker bullshit. Because, 87 attribute points from the XP he was rewarded. And
I didn't even know that could happen. I didn't even know that was a possibility.
I had no idea. Especially, it was a 72 overall corner, just a nickel corner. All right. He didn't use him all the time.
No. Yeah.
He came out of absolute nowhere. And now he's
the best fucking corner in the league.
I know. It's stupid because I should have the best corner in the league.
I'll be honest with you. After I saw that, I was like, okay, I'm going to start some more rookies. Because it's worth it just to take the gamble that one guy catches fire, halfway through the season and can win a fucking award. The XP is out of control. And the less, the less their overall, the more XP you're going to get. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, I remapped my entire corner setup based on his, just because his obviously worked. He didn't get him, he was in the tough fit that, the playoffs came down to like 4 teams.
Yeah.
And it all had, I calculated it out, and it was insane that, person A had to lose, person C had to win, and person D had to get like a tie. It was some crazy crap, but his corners just annihilated people, and that slot corner, that there shouldn't be anybody performing at that level. No, not at the overall that he had.
Yeah, so it's going to be exciting moving forward in the league to see who wins that XP bounty at the end of the year, because that's a game changer. That can completely change your team if you get one or two of those guys in the course of 5 years or something. That would be pretty wild. So just to finish up Foley, he's got 86 speed with 90 excel. I find that once he does get off the blocks, he can usually get to the quarterback pretty well. The other guy I chose is D. Waters, rookie running back, Bosco Baracus. He has 6 touchdowns, 247 rushing yards. He's tied for first in rushing touchdowns, I think, with AP and maybe one other guy. His most impressive, attribute, all his spin move, juke move, trucking, all that was pretty, it wasn't super impressive, but it's all around 80. And the guy's got superstar dev, and I'm sure D. Waters is deving him. So he's going to keep pushing those forward. And he's got 91 speed, so he's got plenty of speed to get out in the open and get some touchdowns. As we've seen through this course of Madden with the running back, all you really need is 88 speed. Hell, Squish, when we played, had Mr. Cheeseburger run fucking 70 yards with his 85 speed.
Cheeseburger Eddie.
It doesn't really, speed is nice, but it's not necessarily a must with a running back in this Madden, which is kind of nice. But I'm expecting big things out of that rookie. I think, I don't know. The AFC offensive rookie race, you don't have the quarterbacks per se that you do in the NFC. So I think if Bosco keeps it up, he could be looking at some nice awards and maybe 50, 60, 70,000 XPs coming his way. We'll just have to wait and see.
That's insane. I didn't actually realize that he was superstar dev. That's huge threat. I was really hoping. I'm thinking this year is going to come down to, as far as offensive rookie of the year in the NFC, is going to come down to him and my tank running back. But I think he's got that extra edge. One, he can dev him a lot faster than my normal dev guy, and he's got speed. He's got 6 more points in speed than my guy has. I mean, I'm at 85 speed right now, and like you said, all a running back has to do is get out in the open, and he's gone.
Yeah, the angles that the defensive players take this year are horrendous on running backs in the open field.
Yeah, and now, like, I've noticed in this Madden compared to 15 and 16, pursuit matters more now than ever for your open field guys, just because they take some shit line for whatever reason to try and cut somebody off, and they're always wrong. And so you always give up that big run, and it drives me nuts. I mean, that my defense is really guilty of it. Is I'll hold somebody to. I mean, I held D Waters rookie to 2 yards, in an entire game on I think it was 11 carries, or his entire team. Actually, I want to say his rookie got negative yardage. He had a little QB sneak that got him up there, but they shut him down. My D-line was able to cut him off, but if your D-line doesn't cut him off, the week before that, I was letting A. Walker get 180 yards on me, just because he gets that pass at first line, and they're gone. And I think if D. Waters figures out his running game, which it looks like he's getting there, he's really close. We're gonna definitely be in for an absolute shitstorm in the NFC.
I think I saw that he had maybe like a 80-yard run. So I mean he's getting some big plays. It's pretty impressive because running I think has a pretty harsh. I mean passing does too. This Madden offense in general just has a harsh learning curve. But once you start to put it together, it's super rewarding. It's just. I think that's making it more sim-like, whereas if you're not really paying attention to the defensive sets that people are running, then you're just going to get beat. I mean, you got to look and see if they're zone man, all that kind of stuff this year. And you're not always going to be right, but when you do kind of figure out their tendencies and what they're doing, man, it gives you a lot more opportunity to get big plays.
We're going to take a beer break here, but we have a special treat for all of you hungry folks out there. So kick back, open up a nice cold one, and enjoy.
Bacon pancakes, making bacon pancakes. Take some bacon and I'll put it in a pancake. Bacon pancakes, that's what it's gonna make. Bacon pancakes. Bacon pancakes, making bacon pancakes. Take some bacon and I'll put it in a pancake. Bacon pancakes, that's what it's gonna make. Bacon pancakes. Bacon pancakes, making bacon pancakes. Take some bacon and I'll put it in a pancake. Bacon pancakes, that's what it's gonna make. Bacon pancakes. Bacon pancakes, that's what it's gonna make. Bacon pancakes.
Well, this is Squishy, and I hope you guys enjoyed that hot joint. Special shout out to D. Waters for turning us all on to that sick beat. Coming up next is going to be our Pick 6, where we're going to review the top 6 teams currently in the Scrubs hierarchy. For my top Pick 6, coming in number 1 is the Dallas Cowboys. Their lights-out defense has really been the shining beacon of that team. They've been so-so on offense, but letting in 38 points over 5 games is just insane. Second is going to be the Jets. Having played against him last season and felt the pain and misery that is his secondary, I fully expect him to make a playoff run. I think if he can get his offense together, Retro is going to have a very bad day. Third on my list is actually going to be Cards. He's had a soft-ish schedule, but he does have some quality wins where it counts. He is currently 3-1, if I remember correctly. But I could see him potentially pushing for the NFC West title. On the other hand, my fourth overall is the Seahawks, who is also in the Cards division. He's got some close wins, but overall he seems to be taking care of business. I think one of the two NFC wildcard seeds is going to come down between Cards and Seahawks. Fifth overall, and I know this is going to ruffle a lot of feathers, I have Chargers. Keep in mind, Chargers was not here for a good bit last season, which kind of led to him having the number one overall pick. He's second overall in points for kind of running that cheese potential Big 12 style offense, but he's 10th overall in points allowed. I think if he can keep it together, keep the defense a little bit stronger, and maybe do a little bit better on offense, he could potentially push for an AFC West spot into the playoffs. And then finally at 6, I have ATL the Jags. He has a soft schedule. He's had a soft schedule for the first portion of the season, but it could be tougher as the season goes on. But likely he's got the easiest route to the playoffs. And with that, I will toss it over to Jox.
I'd just like to point out that Squishy led into the Pick 6 power rankings, which I think is funny, seeing he is our Scrubs Pick 6 thrower.
You see my thinking there, huh?
Yeah, good.
Playing very funny. Very funny.
Okay, so my rankings are fairly similar. Let me start from the bottom to build some suspense. So really hard figuring out this number 6 spot, and people are gonna bitch about this, but whatever. I have A. Walker, the Bears, at number 6. He's had a fairly tough schedule straight out the box, and he honestly lost to me in some bullshit. He let me score 28 points to come back from 21-0 in the last 3.5 minutes of our game, and which go me. But I think he's definitely going to be one of the biggest performers in the NFC this year, and he's gotten his stuff together, and he's figured out how to use OBJ, which I am not looking forward to next season. I really wanted to put Cowboys here, but having played AVG last year, I wasn't too impressed, and after seeing his game earlier today, where Zeke had like 16 yards on like 12 carries. You can't have the cheese back and only get 16 yards on so many carries. And he's had a fairly easy schedule so far. I do put him there at a close 7, but I don't think he makes it into my 6. At number 5, I've got D Waters. So I've just second NFC North member. I've got my top 6. His user's nuts. I honestly can never beat him because for whatever reason, it doesn't outplay me. I outplay myself, and I don't know why, but it's just something with D Waters. But he's very solid. He doesn't crack under pressure. You could send a ridiculous pass rush against him, and it's not going to affect his choices. He doesn't hit a panic button. He doesn't try and scramble, and he doesn't come up with these fumbles. He's very cool under pressure, and I think he's definitely gonna lead the NFC North, depending on how A. Walker bounces back. Number 4, I've got UATL. You're building your Madden 16 defense, and I'm already not looking forward to it. You were incredible last year with it, and your play calling is top notch. You're 4-0 right now, and it's all from your defensive play calling. You know what to do on third down, and that's a huge bonus to have because on third down, we go to our go-to plays on offense, but you have your go-to plays on defense, and you've got the reads. And so you've always been probably the best in scrubs at coming up clutch in the defense when you need it to. At number 3, surprisingly, I've got Billy, who's I'm kind of at a loss for words at how he's performed the last 2 seasons. This guy made playoffs. Last season, the Scrubs last year is being in it the entire time since the beginning, and now he comes out swinging. I mean, he made it to the NFC Championship game last year. Right now, he's a wizard on defense, I think, and I've been taking a couple hints from him, and in fact I use those against A-Walker, and they work. Certain little weird hot routes on the defense that just you don't think to do this. It sounds dumb on paper. You're not going to ever do it, and then you do it, and it comes up big. I mean, it worked against D. Waters in the playoffs last year. He had 2 pick sixes. I mean, his offense is not there yet, but his defense is just he's such in the zone that I think he's a force to be reckoned with in the NFC, and so I've got him at the top right now in the NFC. At number 2, I've got Jets. Boston is just – I don't understand how he does it, but he's still got the best user. And as I said earlier, he hasn't figured out offense just yet, and he's gotten there this season, and it's getting really scary because, I mean, he has the potential to become that Madden 16 retro, except better. Retro was good, but retro didn't have the insane user-reading skills that Jets has, and so I think AFC. I'm extremely glad I'm not over there. And then at number 1, I was not coerced into this, but I have to put retro. I think as usual, SWA is trending up, and he's number 1. He knows how to use Cam Newton, and it's stupid how well he's got him figured out. And his wide receiver core is just insane. I mean, he's got Sammy Watkins, he's got John Brown. The guys are flying all over the field, and there's not. I think there's 2 secondaries in the league right now where they're at that could potentially slow that down, but you can't. There's no secondary that can stop it. And I think D. Waters has got the best corner pair in the league, and even Peters and Gilmore cannot stop what he's doing with Newton, Brown, and Watkins. So that's my top 6.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really fun watching Jets and Retro battle it out through the course of Madden 17. When the the final team selections came out and everybody was settled with who we're going to have for 17, I didn't put a lot of thought into that matchup. I mean, I knew that Boston was a great user. I mean, everybody knows that. If you played him, he will literally make you squeeze your controller so hard that you might break it at times because you think you've got a pass, and out of nowhere he just his guys get the pick. It's just going to be, it's like seeing a titan of offense have to play a titan of defense, and I'm not sure there's anything more fun than that in a Madden league than watching those guys square off. It's kind of like getting to see a little mini Super Bowl twice a season. So I'm curious and excited to see how that playoff race shakes out. I mean, currently I think Jets is sitting at 3-1. Retro's at 4-0. I expect both of them to make it to the playoffs and have to battle out again. I found both of y'all's lists to be interesting and exciting, and you both had good points. Some of Squish's logic I didn't quite follow, but that's
you're not alone.
Everybody's entitled to their own opinion, and that's what makes the Pick 6 power ranking fun, because I'm sure there's going to be guys that listen to it and agree with him wholeheartedly. I'm going to jump into mine. I don't think mine is going to have as many surprises as maybe some of what we heard. But I'm going to start from the bottom and work my way up as well. At 6, I've got Billy. I got to play him for the first time in what felt like forever, even though he said we did play not too long ago, Madden 16. Really fun game. He likes defense a lot. I like defense a lot. So it was kind of fun to see the packages that we were both calling and trying to use against each other. I was fortunate enough to get a win in that game. It was close. I think almost all my wins have been by like a touchdown. But man, Billy, to see where he's come from Scrubs Madden 16 to Madden 17, I fully expect him to be in contention or be in the playoffs every year moving forward. He's set his team up for success. The 2019 draft is, he's going to own that draft. He's going to have a ton of first and second round picks. So we'll see what he can do moving forward. At 5, I've got myself. 4-0. We'll see what happens. I have a history of starting out hot and kind of fizzling as the season goes on. I tried to fix my defects from last season, and I played about 10 or 12 head-to-head games in between the off season to the new season, and I was hoping that would help me out on offense. Instead, it just made me better at defense, but whatever, I'll take it. At 4, I've got Jets, currently sitting at 3-1. I wanted to put him higher, but just because we had so many undefeated teams at this point in the season, I was going to reward those guys in the rankings. But Jets could easily be moved up. Currently sitting at 3-1. You've heard Jox and Squish both talk about Jets a good bit. The guy's an amazing user, and he's starting to put offense together. And I honestly believe that he's got a Super Bowl or 2 in his future. Of getting his own little shiny ring to do with whatever those guys do with, I'll never know. And then at 3, I've got D Waters at 4-0. D Waters is a guy who, when he first came into the league, let us all know how great he was. I don't think he realized how shit his team was that he was getting, and he really was handicapped a little bit in Madden 16 by that. Madden 17, he hadn't had that issue. It's been his team. He drafted him. He built him from the ground floor, and it's really coming through this season. He's currently sitting at 4-0. At number 2, I've got Average at 5-0. He has already played his, this week's game from advancing today, and he got that win. Squish pointed out the point differential, and this blew my mind. I don't think I've ever seen a point differential this great. Since I've been playing
you're talking about a little over 7 points a game over 5 games, and I mean he hasn't had the toughest schedule, but at the same time,
to limit
anybody, and he hasn't played me. To limit that anybody to 7 points and to score, I think he's in the hundreds on offense for that many points.
Yeah, he's got 114 points for 38 against. I mean, that's crazy. I've been doing CFM for 4-ish or so years now, and I've never seen that before. So just out of respect for that alone and his record being undefeated, I put him at number 2. I'm really curious to see what Average can do. I know he has won a Super Bowl or so, here or there in other leagues. I haven't seen that happen when I've been playing with him, but I know he has done it. He's a good player, and he's been around CFM for a while, so I'm curious to see just how far he can take that in the NFC. At number 1, I've got Retro. He's 4-0. No big surprise. Dude's killing it this year just like he did last year. I think his Achilles heel this year is going to be being in the same division with Jets, and having to see him probably in the playoffs every year in Madden. Not to say that Jets is going to beat him, or will beat him every time, or will even beat him half the times, but Jets is going to get some wins, as we saw in last season, which makes it fun. Retro's a super dominating player. He's going to, every regular season, he might have 1-2 losses max. So it's always fun to see, the Titans of Scrubs get challenged a little bit and see how they handle it. So that's my pick 6 power rankings. I don't think there's really any surprises in there, but it's going to be fun to see how it all shakes out. So next we're going to do a segment for who we kind of see coming back. You've seen us in the past do the power list rankings. I don't think we quite have enough data yet to say who are the 5 worst teams in the league. But we wanted to try to end on a positive note and see who that we see making a comeback as the season progresses, and maybe finding their way in the playoffs, or at least finishing with 9 or so wins and getting close to the playoffs. I'll kick this one off. My first one is Browns. He's currently at 2-2. The Canadian is making as many trades as possible as usual. I think I just saw that he's getting David Carr, traded Tyrod Taylor in a first for David Carr, I believe. So that should help him out. David Carr's a pretty good Madden quarterback. He's got speed and accuracy, and he'll be a little more accurate than what he had with Tyrod, and he's younger too. So that should help keep pushing him forward. I don't know. For some reason I see him making the playoffs, but I could be wrong. He finished really strong last year after he took over the Browns, winning I think like 7 out of 9 games or something like that. Next on the list, it was kind of hard to pick because there's a lot of guys that are sitting in that 1-0 win range that performed really well last year. And to me, it came down to either picking Raiders or Broncos. And I went with Raiders only because he went 2-0 against Broncos last season. So I think that's going to benefit him again this year. Or I'm sorry, he actually went 1-1, but when he played Broncos, he had all his subs in, and I think he lost by like 10 points or something. So I think he's going to be able to pull through. I don't know if he'll make the playoffs, though. I mean, he's going to have to win his division probably as bad as his record is. So I'm curious to see how that shakes out. But I definitely see him finishing above 500. I don't think he's going to, finish with a losing record or anything like that. So that's my 2 picks. Jox, who did you pick?
They'll make it easy on me on the first pick. I'm going to pick myself. I came out 2-3 in the first 5 weeks, but undoubtedly I started out with the toughest first 5 week schedule of anyone in the league. I mean, I went up against A. Walker twice, D. Waters, and Zan. And if you've ever played any 3 of those guys, that's a tough match no matter what team you've got. And I'm lucky to have walked away with 2 wins out of that. And so, in my first game was very rusty. I had a new kind of scheme going on, but I still won that one. But like I mentioned earlier, I've got a brand new quarterback, brand new running back, wide receiver, tight end. My entire offensive scheme has changed because I'm no longer running cheese Gurley. I've got to actually try to run the ball, in a more realistic fashion. But I think I can. My schedule is very more. It's really relaxed in comparison to my first 5 weeks. So I think I've got a good chance to come back and make a push. Maybe not for the division, but maybe for that wild card slot. At number 2, so not really to touch on it, but I also agree with you, ATL. Browns are definitely going to make a push. I mean, Canada, as much as it really hurts me to say it, is a good Madden player. Don't tell no one. But he's really solid, and he does these stupid trades that are just off wall crazy. No one ever wants to trade with him, but people still do it, and he ends up with some stupid team that's just unstoppable. And I think he's gonna come week 8, he's gonna make some stupid trade and get some big guys that are gonna push him over the top. But since you already touched on him, I like to, as my second choice, I'd really like to pick Swan, the Bills. Last year, there was no doubt that Bills was the best offensive player, that Swan was the best offensive player in Scrubs. Doug Martin had like 1,400 yards before he went out in week 9 or week 10. That's stupid. Because Gurley was like 4th at the time. And was just 100 yards behind 2nd and 3rd, and he had like 600 yards. It was insane, and he's doing this with Doug Martin. Doug Martin's no special cheese. He's an elite running back, but he's not Gurley cheese. He's not Zeke. He's not he's not David Johnson. He's not these guys that you think of that can abuse the system just because you can't tackle him and stuff like that. He's Doug Martin, and he just did these insane things, and due to the injuries last year, it just cost him tremendously. Last year, if you'd asked me what my power rankings were, I was going to put Swan at the top just because what he was doing with that team was insane. And I think he's 2-2 right now. He's had a slow start, but I think once he gets back into his rhythm, there's no stopping him. And granted, he's in an extremely tough division. He's in there with Retro and Boston, and so he's got to deal with my 1 and 2 on the power rankings. But he still has that chance to make that wild card push, and I think in the AFC he might be the guy to do it.
Yeah. So Squish, who did you pick for your 2 comeback players in the league?
My first comeback player is actually going to be the Bears. Having played Bears a bunch in Madden 16, I know that he's a quality opponent. But he has a chance to make it in the playoffs. He has a rather soft schedule, mostly from playing the NFC South and the AFC West, which last year were two of the worst divisions in scrubs. So I think that he's got enough wins in there potentially to make it into the playoffs. However, he does have two games up against the Packers that really are going to make or break him. I don't think he's going to make the overall NFC North seed, but I could definitely see him making a wild card. However, he is going to need help with splitting his games against Vikings. He's going to need some outside help somewhere to make it into the playoffs. Okay. My second team, I actually have the same division. I have the Lions. I think that he is in kind of the same situation as the Bears, playing both the NFC South and the AFC West. He has a soft schedule. He had a ridiculously hard first 3 weeks with Packers, Falcons, and Eagles, all losing by relatively close scores. Coming up, he's got some easy teams. He does have a couple hard teams. He does have 2 games against the Vikings, which I think could be the potential decider for second place in the NFC, depending on how those results go, as well as his game against the Bears. It could be another close race, and I don't see this being something that's going to be blown wide open in the NFC North, especially for the wild card position. I would not be surprised if the wild card came down to another fantastic finish like it did last year, and having the three remaining NFC North guys in close contention for that spot.
Yeah, and just touch on that. Last year, all 4 of the NFC North teams were in contention. D Waters locked that up, but Week 17 came down. There was, looking at all the tiebreakers, there was a chance for all 3 NFC North teams to make it into the playoffs. If certain people left, if Cards had lost against the Rams, which of course, with Raul currently running the Rams, that's more of a pipe dream. But if Cards had lost, A Walker was in. If A Walker had beat me, Cards had lost, and Wiki had beat D Waters, Wiki was in, Lions were in, and so I think both those teams have an extremely good chance of fighting for those wild card slots.
I think there's a high probability come week 16, week 17, you're going to see one of those two teams, in a win and you're in situation. But I could also very easily see them relying on some outside help. I think one of the key matchups is, I believe it's week 16 or week 17 for the Bears. They're playing the Packers. No, it's week 14. Week 14, they play the Packers after a bye week, week 13 against the Bengals. Coming into a game like that, they're finishing the season with Panthers, Lions, and Falcons. If he can have a good, strong showing against Packers and pull out a win, whether it's 3 points or 7, he essentially has the division. I don't see Lions beating Packers as much as I enjoy their rivalry. Packers, D Waters just has Wiki's number, and I don't think that number's changing anytime soon.
Yeah, just for Packers, I'm going to go ahead and say it. Is it a rivalry when you beat the person every time? I know that's what he's thinking right now when he listens to this.
And I just want to start off and say fuck D Waters, but and the bullshit implosion that he causes over in Minnesota. I think we've got a rivalry amongst all 4 teams, and it's fairly evenly matched. I think the most popular thing going on in the NFC North right now, though, is who can implode the most. And I took it last season. I started out 0-2. I won 9 games in a row, and I fucking lost the rest of the season. Put me out of playoff contention.
I can relate to that too.
A Walker kind of stole it from me at the start of this season when he gave up 28 points in the last 3 minutes of a game to lose to me. So he's got the belt right now. Wiki has been going through a lot of stuff, so he's I'm not gonna hold it against him. He's had a slow start.
I think he has a concussion from that accident. I really, I wouldn't be surprised if that's affected his play calling.
Oh yeah, I mean, he's got to be more aware in the bedroom, make sure shit doesn't fall off that top shelf again.
I told him all he needed to do was take a really long nap after that concussion, but he didn't listen.
I know, and we would have had a fucking another team opening. It would have been fine.
I think that's a wrap. We were able to get through the Pick Six Power Rankings and the comeback teams. Really fun podcast. I've been waiting a while to get these two guys on. Just trying some new things with the Scrubs podcast since the departure of Marty, Keyshawn. I can't keep up with who anybody is anymore.
Who's that clown fuck?
Yeah. So just trying some new things out. Going to see how it goes moving forward. We'll see a little more consistency moving, in the future, and we're going to establish, I think, a little better pattern with the podcast. But with that said, it's been a great start to our second season in Madden 17, and I wish you all the worst luck and hope that the Madden cheese gods come down and rain terror on all of you, and that I can finally make the playoffs in Madden 17.
Will Squishy get his first win in the second season? Yeah, that's going to be the real story. I expect to be back on this podcast the week after I get that first win. I don't know where it's going to come from. It's probably going to be some magical bullshit, but I expect to be back on here after that first win so I can celebrate.
So Squish,
4-2, never forget.
Squish, Squish, one last question before we go. What's the price on Wagner?
Well, the going rate is going to be 2 firsts. They don't have to be a top 10 first. But, if I keep him, oh no, I have to keep Bobby Wagner. It could be worse. I could have gotten the trade with Titans to go through and regretted it the next morning. But
yeah, the commissioners looked out for you on that one.
Yes, the commissioner god smiled upon me that day.
So you heard it, guys. Get your first ready and contact Squish to get a little WAG action. All right, guys. With that, that's a wrap. Enjoy your Halloween weekend. You should be listening to this on Sunday, and if not, go fuck yourself. Till next time, we're the Scrubs. We're out. Later, guys.
Beer.
Deuces.
Have fun, guys.
Yes, Mom, come here. Sonny? Yes, Mom, I'm coming. Here I am, Mom.
Now you stop that nonsense and go to bed.
Oh, gee whiz, Mom. It's still too early.
Now run along to bed like Mama's little man.
Oh, gee whiz, Mom.
Now run along to bed.
Mama's little man. I'm getting sick of being nice like Mama's little man. I wish I was a tough guy, the toughest in the land. I'd like to be Jack Dempsey or leader of a band. God, most anything except Mama's little man. Say, who are you?
Me? Say, I'm the devil that's inside of you.
Of me?
Sure. I tell you the things you like to do. Like stealing cheese from the pantry shelf. Yeah, then you'll have to buck up and make a man of yourself.
Say, I get the man.
Sure, Mama's little man.
I'll show you who's a man. I'll show you. they're coming.
Going up, main floor, going up. Second floor, pots and pans, going up. Third floor, linen supplies, going up. Fourth floor, silverware, going up. Top floor, all out for the grocery department. Mercy, goodness gracious, no, you mustn't please. You know it's wrong for little mice to be out stealing cheese.
Say, who are you?
Ah, he's just a big sissy. Tell him to scram.
I will not. I'm your little better self, the part of you that's good. Oh, please come home and go to bed, like Mother said you should.
Sure, like Mama Little Man.
I'll do you. Who's a mama's man? I'll do you. No. Yeah. No. Mercy, goodness gracious. No. You mustn't, please.
How about a smoke?
A smoke?
Sure, that'll make a man of you.
Hot dog, boy, hot dog. I'll think I'll have a smoke. Hot dog.
Okay, Puff. Oh, come on, Puff.
You devil. And you. Aren't you ashamed of yourself? Now you come right back home and go to bed or you'll be found.
Hey, come here.
Oh, that devil. Oh.
Some stuff. I can't.
You get out of here. Go on. Get away from here.
Curses.
Oh, little cheeser, listen now and promise to be good.
Yeah.
And come back home and go to bed like Mother said you should.
Hey, Cheeser, look.
Hey, what's this? I don't know.
The guy taking a shower?
You better be quiet or you'll wake up the cat.
Oh, shucks. You ain't afraid of the cat.
Sure, I ain't afraid of old Bristlepuss. It's old Bristlepuss. Yeah, kitty. Nice little kitty. Oh, dear, oh, my, oh, what will I do? him in the sloop. Now I lay me down to sleep and pray the Lord my soul to keep. My mama side I'll always stay, or it to man I'll be always. Amen.